Hey guys, what's going on? SpitBrix here, back for the LEGO Ninjago video, and today we're going to be checking out every single elemental power in Ninjago. There are a lot more than just the original 4 elements that we learned of back in the pilot season, those being lightning, fire, ice, and earth. There have been a whole bunch more that we've learned over the years of Ninjago, and in fact we have over 25 different elemental powers that are present in the series. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Also, be sure to comment your guys' favorite elemental powers down below in the comments as we go through the video. Going alphabetically, the first elemental power in this video is most commonly associated with Skylar. This is the element of Amber. This power allows Skylar to emulate the power of anyone whom she has touched, and so here you can see her with the element of Fire because she has made contact with Kai before, and so this is a very powerful and versatile elemental power. This would be one of the ones I would like to have if I had an elemental power because it's just so useful, and you can basically take anyone who has an elemental power, and as long as you've made contact with them, you can replicate it, you can absorb it, and then all of a sudden you can use that power. So it's very, very strong. Speaking of strength, the next elemental power is the complete opposite. This is technically an elemental power as it is referred to in the TV show. This is the power of brown, or the element of brown. It's housed by Dareth, and we all know that he got that from drinking that ginormous pot of tea whipped up by Mistake. And from the episodes, it appears like it's sort of a brown flame, kind of like fire, but instead of more of a brownish orange tint. However, it doesn't have much of a use, nor is it very effective other than just that wow factor, the fact that Dareth actually can, have some sort of power. Unfortunately for him, all it did was make him need to use the restroom a lot, and eventually he lost that power since it was because of Mistake's tea instead of him having the brown power. Next up is one of the most important elemental powers of all of Ninjago. This is the elemental power of creation. Now this power is shared by the first Spinjitzu master as well as both of his sons Wu and Garmadon. Now you may be asking, why does Garmadon have this element of creation? Well, just because he is a descendant of the first Spinjitzu master, and so both Wu and well as Garmadon have this element. And although he also has a lot of other elements in there, which we'll talk about later in this video, because he is part Oni, he has a lot of other powers, but the element of creation is still with him inside. Remember that in the end, Garmadon is a descendant of both the Oni and Dragon. Continuing on, the next elemental power is the element of darkness, and this is basically the opposite of golden power, which is what Lloyd had whenever he became the ultimate Spinjitzu master. This power is presumably held by the Overlord. He is basically the sole proprietor of this power, of this element, and with these two different versions of him now, it's very different, to put this image here on the left of him, but that is the Overlord, and ultimately he does control the element of darkness. This next elemental power may seem similar to the last one we just checked out. This is the element of destruction. It's housed by the Oni, Mistake, the Omega, which is the leader of the Oni, the first Spinjitzu master, and Garmadon. It's the complete opposite of the element of creation that we looked at previously. And something kind of interesting, whenever a character wears one of the Oni masks, he or she is actually able to control this elemental power as well. Alright, we still have a lot of elemental powers to cover in this video, in which I will tell you guys all about each one. We're going to speed it up a little bit here though. I'll still tell you guys who houses each of the powers, who contains it, as well as some interesting facts about each one. We're going on here to the element of Earth. This is housed by Cole. We all know him as one of the original ninja, and we have him as his grandfather was the original elemental master of Earth. Back in the early days of Ninjago in around 2011, 2012, we didn't know nearly as many elemental powers were in Ninjago as we do now, but Earth was one of those original ones that we knew about from the very beginning. In 2012, we were introduced to a new member of the team. This is Lloyd here, the Green Ninja, and he has the elemental power of energy, or green power. This power has been by far one of the most important powers for the development of the TV show and line itself of Ninjago. We've seen Lloyd take on numerous different enemies and villains throughout the years of Ninjago, and for the most part his element seems to be pretty effective. Next up is the element of fire, originally held by Ray, which was the first elemental master of fire, passed on to his son Kai, in which we all know one of the original 4 ninja from back in the day. Of course, this element fits perfectly with his personality of being very hot-headed, and has been a really good addition to the TV show. Now here's an interesting elemental power. This is from one of the elemental masters that we got introduced to in the Tournament of Elements. This is the element of form. This element is possessed by Camille, and by her name, kind of like chameleon, it is suggested that, of course, form, you can shape-shift. We saw her powers being used a lot during the Tournament of Elements, in which definitely took the ninja by surprise. Here's one of my favorite elemental powers, again housed by Lloyd. Here we have Golden Power, the element of the Ultimate Spinjitzu Master. This one kind of banks on the last one of the Green Ninja. You know, the powers are kind of combined, you guys could say, on some of these for Lloyd. Basically, the element used by Lloyd whenever he became the Golden Ninja is nowadays referred to as Golden Power, or the element of gold. Up next is the element of gravity, which is held by Gravis. Personally, I feel like the element of gravity is one of the less talked about elements, but I feel like it could be very beneficial if you did have that power. Next up is an elemental power that's not canon to the TV show, but rather to the LEGO Ninjago Movie. We have Lloyd's power in the movie considered to be green. Although it's not apparent what the power of green really is at first, we get to see it develop throughout the movie, as in the character of Lloyd being very generous, a good team player, and as he's growing and maturing throughout the movie. Continuing on, we have the elemental power of ice, which is contained by our good Nindroid friend Zane. I really love the way that LEGO has developed the character of Zane, and as far as where he got his elemental powers from, he got it from the original Elemental Master of Ice, who is not related to Zane, but since he did not have any children of his own, he chose Zane to basically continue on the element. Now here's just one of those crazy elements that's not canon to the TV show nor the movie, and this is just the element of imagination. This was from the LEGO Universe game back in the day. He kind of took the place of Sensei Wu in the game, at least I believe. I never played the game, but here he is. His name is Nito, I believe you pronounce it that way, and that's pretty much all I have to say for this one. Going back to elements that are canon to the TV show, we have Pale Man here, who is the Elemental Master of Light. And with this, he is able to go invisible with invisibility powers, as well as able to bend and create light. Here we have the last of the original 4 ninja. We have the Elemental Master of Lightning here, Jay. He received his elemental power from his biological mother, who was the original Lightning Master. And well, I guess you could say that Jay's elemental power has been a shocking success. How about we move on to another Elemental Master? We have the Elemental Master of Metal. We have Karloff here. He can turn himself practically into a huge metal being. And with this comes the ability to deflect certain objects, as well as super strength. And let's just not forget about his Elemental Dragon that looks really, really cool. Up next, we have the element of the mind. We have Neuro here, who is the Elemental Master. His power involves telepathy and mind reading, and I have to admit, this has got to be one of the coolest elemental powers. It's very subtle. Nobody would really know you had the power until all of a sudden you literally just read the other person's mind. You'd become a pretty popular guy or gal with this cool little trick, and nobody would ever be able to hide anything from you. Here we have one of the more kooky characters in this video. We have Bolobo, the Elemental Master of Nature, and he definitely looks like he does love his nature. Kind of looks like a caveman in my opinion. He has a cool feather on the very front of him, and as far as controlling nature, I mean, I understand it could be pretty powerful, but out of all of them we're looking at in this video, this one is definitely shadowed. The element of poison is next, and that is contained by Tox. And she's able to generate a poison cloud. That's how she's able to use her elemental power in most cases. Here you can see her using it against some Anacondrae. Continually, here is the Elemental Master of Shadow. We have Shade here, and he has a very monotone look to him, as he is able to basically blend into the shadows. Followed by him is the Elemental Master of Smoke. This is Ash here, and I kind of get the two mixed up every once in a while because their powers seem to be pretty similar. I mean, one of them is the power of sort of ash and blending in, and the other one is shadow and also kind of blending in. I don't know, I feel like they're pretty similar in their abilities, but they're different people. On the contrary, we have the Elemental Master of Sound, who is definitely unique, to say the least. Kind of looks like a hippie there with those star glasses. This is Jacob Pevsner, and I've included some preliminary mock-up drawing art on the very right there for your guys' interest. When compared to the other Elemental Masters in this video, I feel like Jacob here has gotten the short end of the stick, but at least he does have an element. Up next is the element of speed, and with that comes the obvious assumption that whoever has this element can just run super fast, and that is definitely true with Griffin Turner here, looking really snazzy with his outfit and glasses on, and he's super fast. Basically, when LEGO was trying to think of new Elemental Masters, they thought of the Flash, and then all of a sudden incorporated him. Here's a fun one. We have the element of surprise, the Fuchsia Ninja from the LEGO Ninjago Movie. This is not canon to the TV show, and it was really only in a few split seconds in the movie, but it's a very funny addition, and technically it is an element as said so in the movie. Imagine having a bright pink ninja suit and going around and surprising people all day. We're down to the final 3 elemental powers in Ninjago. Just a reminder, after the video, be sure to comment your guys' favorite elemental powers down below, and also subscribe to my channel if you're new so you don't miss out on any further Ninjago action. Right here, we have the Time Twins, who of course, well, they control the element of time. In their mind, it is the most powerful element, and from Hands of Time, we get to see them in action. I know there are some different opinions on how Hands of Time maybe should have went, but I personally thought the season was pretty decent. Now, of course, we can't forget about the female ninja out of the group. We have Nia as well as her mother Maya. They're both elemental masters of water. And of course, Nia was officially classified as a ninja whenever she did master the element of water during the possession season of LEGO Ninjago. And I have to admit that whenever she does possess it and does these little water bubbles, it looks pretty cool. Rounding out this video in alphabetical order, we have the element of wind, which is possessed by none other than Moro. Of course, you probably know that Moro was supposed to be the Green Ninja, or at least that's what he thought, until the Golden Weapons did not choose him, but instead chose Lloyd instead. He can produce massive wind gusts out of nowhere, and in one point actually held back the Destiny's Bounty from flying away with his element of wind. So it's pretty powerful. And with that, those are all of the elemental powers for LEGO Ninjago. It came as a surprise for me personally just to see how many different powers there have really been over all these years of Ninjago. I mean, it's been around since 2011 at the very beginning. I mean, we had the original 4 Ninja. We thought that those were the main elements, and then slowly but surely we got all these other elements introduced, and now we have over 25. That's crazy. Of course, some of them from the movie or some of them that are non-canon are still exist in there, but those are very small and far in between. I believe there's only like 3 or 4 in this video. But with saying that, be sure to let me know your guys' thoughts down below and comment your favorite elemental power. Leave a like rating on this video if you have not already, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out one of the videos on screen right now if you'd like to watch more, and as always, have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video coming very soon.